Hey guys, what's up? It's Looney TNT. So, Blizzard breaks their silence. Very interesting. Alright, so we're going to talk about this, and if you guys haven't read what they put, you guys can find that out there and see what they put. And if you guys don't want to read stuff like that, I'll sum it up. Blizzard has broken their silence about taking down the private server. They are in contact with the people who took down the private server. You can take that any way you want. You can take it as, oh, we're getting legacy servers. Probably not. Or you can take it as they talked to them once and they said they were in contact, which probably happened. They're talking about bringing out their own type of servers, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. They talked about why they had to take down the servers. It was just pretty much just legal stuff for people using their certain things that they created and stuff could be bad in the long run, which is completely true. There's no downside to that, so I understand what they mean by that. And that was pretty much about, sums it up. But let's talk about these servers. They also said that if they could bring back legacy servers with just a push of a button to fix everything, they would. But it's too hard to create these legacy servers. We'll talk about that also. But let's talk about the servers that they're talking about maybe they could bring back. What their idea is bringing having some servers that do not have heirlooms, that do not have a lot of functions to make the game easier. And that's pretty much about it. Yeah, I'm serious. That's their idea of a legacy server, I'm guessing. So let's talk about that. A server that is harder, kind of. In my opinion, it's just slower. The XP gains will be slower. It's just kind of is what it is. It is the same exact game. It's the same game we're playing right now. It's the same game that we're bored of right now. The same after Cataclysm happened game. It is the same game that we're playing, except you will be gaining XP slower. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Do players want XP slower? No. The reason we don't want XP slower in the current game that we have is because the game that we play at the moment is completely about being capped and eye level. So why wouldn't you want to speed that up? That's pretty much the game that we play. So why would people play a server that is completely opposite? They talked about you can stop your levels and things like that for XP. We can already do that. That's not an issue. Players aren't doing that right now anyway. If I wanted to, there's people do Iron Man challenges and stuff, but that's just, it's kind of just more of a YouTube thing, streamer thing, so people can watch it, and that's about it. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Why would you... Legacy servers and that are such a big difference. Here's what players want. Blizzard, listen, please. Here's what players want. They want a legacy server. They want a vanilla server. Give us a vanilla server. We don't want any tricks and things like that. We want a vanilla server. And this is coming from a player that would only play the vanilla server when I was bored with your regular game, right? I would be playing it right now. I would stay subscribed. I would play Legacy. But when Legion comes out, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to play Legion. I'm going to raid with my guild. We're going to do all this content that you provide. And then when I get bored, I go back to Legacy. And then you make a patch. And then I go back to Legion. That's the type of player I am. And there's a lot of us like that. There are some players that would dedicate all their time to Legacy. And I don't understand why you're scared about that. When you look at it, both ways you're going to generate money. And that is your main goal. Let's be honest. There's in a business environment, your goal is to make money. You're going to be making so much money if you make legacy servers. It doesn't matter if it completely splits the community. Let's say it does. Let's say we have 4 million players playing right now. 2 million players go to legacy. 2 million players stay on WoD, right? Let's call it Legion because Legion's coming out. 2 million on Legion, 2 million on legacy. It doesn't matter. You're still making the same amount of money. All you have to say is, if you want legacy servers, you have to purchase Legion. Boom. Problem solved. It's not a big deal. I don't care if there's half the community on Legion and half the community on Legacy. My guild doesn't have 2 million players. My realm or server doesn't have 2 million players. We have a cap, right? There's so many servers out there that are completely dead anyway, right? Merge these servers. These players will find a way. They're going to figure out what they want to do. It's not a big deal, right? You're going to get people that have not played World of Warcraft since vanilla that will come back and subscribe to your game. It will be the biggest draw that you've ever had. It will be bigger than WoD. Why did so many people come back to WoD? Because it was almost the old school Burning Crusade, right? That's what you presented it as, which it wasn't, and everybody dropped out. People know what they're getting into when they play a legacy server. People know what they got into when they played WoW in the old days. So you're going to just generate so much money. You're going to sell so many copies of Legion. It's going to be great. There's not a downside to this. I understand that it's a very scary situation, right? You're like, all right, we're putting so much time and effort into Legion, and if we make these legacy servers, a lot of our player base is going to move over there. It's just because they loved what you created. It's the love of the game. It's the love of World of Warcraft. It's not that they're going to spit on Legion and say, it's garbage. Legacy servers, hurrah, right? Some people will prefer legacy servers, and some people will prefer Legion. But give the players a choice. You win either way. You're going to win. So give the players this opportunity. That's all we want. I don't know. It's such a hard thing to do when you're trying to talk to a company that is focused 100% on their ideas and what they do is correct. The players can say and do what they want. You know, the only way Blizzard will actually listen to what we say is if you vote with your wallet. That is what it is. If you don't buy Legion, if Legion sucks, like not even sucks. If Legion is amazing, but only 1 million players play it, 900,000 players play it, right? Which will never happen. WoW is just such a popular game that more players are going to play it. But the lower the numbers for Legion are, the more World of Warcraft and Blizzard are going to be like, we got to do something. Let's try it. But do we really want to do that? Like, I want to play Legion. It's like, do I really have to hold out just to help out players who want this? I want to play Legion. But I also want the game to succeed. And without the paper, World of Warcraft will not succeed. Unless World of Warcraft is generating money, which I'm sure there is no problem with money, with all the mounts, with everything, with the WoW tokens, with everything the microtransactions that they've created for the game, I'm sure is paying so much more money than we all think. But without money, a game doesn't run. Without customers, a game doesn't run. We're losing players anyway. So by losing players to Legacy is not going to be a big deal. Give us Legacy. Let players play their game. I'm going to play Legion anyway. Help the player base out. Alright. I get so frustrated when I make these kind of videos. You know, it's like, come on. Think about it, Blizzard. Just say, here you go. We're doing it. You would be like, praise. Like, oh, they do listen. So many people would stream it. So many people would subscribe to it. So much money on the table. Why don't you take it? Alright, guys. Like, favorite, subscribe, share the video, do what you guys gotta do. And I'm going to actually get ready to play some Hearthstone because Whisper of the Old Gods is coming out. So we're going to see what that's all about. Alright. And I'll talk to you guys soon.